Oh, we're on camera. Oh, I was like, okay, it's 10. I'll pop in front of the camera. And yeah, I did the other camera. But hi, everyone. Good morning. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and welcome to the July 2023 ChemKnits Dialogue live stream. And I'm going to do a quick audio check. Yeah, I did the other camera. Okay, awesome. I can hear myself. That is good. Hello. All right. So today we are going to dye some yarn inspired by this really serene waterfall scene. Now, the one that I put on Instagram, the square, had like a smaller version of the scene. The one on YouTube, let me just pull quickly without any words. Here we have it with like the full scene. You can see the green of the trees, browns of the mud, the rock, and the tree trunks with little hints of like lichen or something, moss there. The blue-green of the water. There's a lot to play with here, and I'm very excited. And so the way that these dye-alongs work is that in the live stream, I'll dye some yarn inspired by our inspiration photo. And then I encourage all of you to also dye yarn inspired by the same inspiration photo. And then for the recap, I'm going to try to pull as many pictures as I can to include there. Now, there are two main ways to submit now that are different from the past. One is you can on Facebook find on the ChemKnits Facebook page, I have a link to the post in the description here, this photo and reply with a photo comment of your yarn. That is still the same as it was before. But for Instagram submissions, I now have a Google form that you can share your Instagram link, or you can upload the pictures directly. Because Instagram made a change, and the way I used to pull photos was I would go to the ChemKnits Dialogue hashtag, I would look for the newest posts and find any that were posted that fit on that hashtag, that fit the dialogue photo. Because sometimes people might share a photo, some yarn that was from a past month. And so I would just check and be like, okay, this was posted in the right time frame. Perfect. Even if the colors were slightly different, it doesn't matter. Like, look for vaguely related. But now I can't. Now you can see top 9, which are like the top 9 posts for the hashtag ever. Or you can see recent top 9, which I think are the 9 best posts from the last couple months or something, but they're not in chronological order. So I wasn't able to pull the Instagram rainbows from last month, which makes me really, really sad. Hello everyone. Yeah, so we've got a new Google form, and I will show you. Nope, that is the Google form is here. So I have this linked below. You will need to have a Google account, and the email address showing here is not one that I check. It's just a placeholder, so don't email me there. But hopefully this will work. And so it says the 3 ways you can upload photos here, share links to your Instagram post, or reply to the inspiration photo on Facebook. This should link to the ChemKnits Facebook page. And so you'll need to put in a name. The name can be the name that you want to be credited as, or it can be your Instagram handle. That is totally fine. And then just in case you're going to submit things from a previous month because you want to share it with me, like say you're dyeing some Hocus Pocus yarn, I think that was October 2022. Just mention, like, you can mention it was Hocus Pocus inspiration, even if it's not the month year you don't have. Just so that way when I'm sorting, because it, I think, puts all the answers into a spreadsheet or something. It'll make it easier, I think, for me to go through any responses. And then you pick how you want to upload the photo. If you say you reply to the Facebook photo, oops, hi. It'll bring you to just the submit page because you don't have to do anything because you don't need the form for that. But if you have an Instagram link, You can link to the, just drop in the link to the Instagram post here, and then you can, you know, share feedback about any dialogues you would like to see. And then if you pick upload photos here, it'll then bring you to a photo uploader, and you can upload up to 5 pictures. And so hopefully this all works. I just made it. So anyway, that's the new form. But when you're posting on Instagram, please still use the ChemKnits dialogue hashtag because that's just helpful in general. So still please use the hashtag. I'm hoping Instagram will bring back the ability to see the most recent posts. I think that, oh, Indy's still outside. Whoops, I forgot about that. I'll bring him in a moment. I think that in the past, they removed the ability to see most recent because I think that there was like a spam concern and people were spamming certain hashtags to then like go up in visibility. But like, yeah, and so that's just hard and sad. But speaking of the June dialogue, so I was not able to get everyone's photos. So use the Google form, and if I didn't include your June photo, feel free to submit it through the Google form, or I guess, because I guess I won't be checking the Facebook thing again. So yeah, use the Google form to share the pictures from June if you would like to share that, because where is June's inspiration was this awesome rainbow, and then that's what I done under a black light, and it was really exciting. But the reason why I also pulled this up to say, hey, you can still submit June photos, and I'll include some in the recap if I get any submissions. Just use the Google form. But our fundraiser for the Trevor Project, we've raised over $2,000. This is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much to everyone who donated. And the fundraiser is still up on the June dialogue and the dialogue recap. And so if you want to, you can still go and donate, or you can go to the Trevor Project directly and make a donation there. But thank you, thank you, thank you everyone who donated to this fundraiser. I am so happy. Let's see. Other announcements. Oh, the Knit Picks Summer Yarn Sale is going on. I do have an affiliate link for it pinned in the chat. I also have a bunch of affiliate links down in the video description to tools and equipment and yarn that I use frequently in my videos. And because they're affiliate links, I might earn a commission if you make a purchase through one of those links. But all the items I'm linking to are items that I have purchased myself. I was like, the FTC came out with some new like clarification things, so I will be attempting to clarify in each video that there are affiliate links in the description and that I can earn a commission if you make purchases through those links. And yeah, I guess as for relationships with these companies, like I've been using them for years. I've chatted with some of them. Jacquard, they've sponsored a video in the past and sent me free product. Knit Picks has sent me something free once. Maybe they will in the future. And Dharma, links to me occasionally. So yeah, I think those are the relevant disclosures. But yeah, I'm a Knit Picks and Amazon affiliate. Those are the two main ones. And yeah, Amazon, it's just because where I bought the stuff, and so I link to what I use. Nope. Oh my goodness, good morning. All right, so that's all, I think that's all the stuff. But let's think about our picture today. So I sort of talked about these colors. I wanted to have something that was slightly less bright because I think I've been playing with brights a lot. Actually, I wanted to do something super bright. I wanted to do something very neon pink that has taken over everywhere recently. And I had the photos ready to go. Yeah, I wanted to do a Barbie themed dialogue, which I'm postponing because like when I made it, like that's when the like SAG strike started. And I was like, I feel weird. Like I'm not, obviously not part of SAG or anything, but I'm like, I just feel weird when like the actors themselves are trying to like negotiate better contracts and stuff. I feel weird promoting a movie when actors can't right now, and so I was like, I think I'm just gonna not. Let me go get the dog. But yeah, these are some of the colors I've pulled. The blue is way too blue. I wouldn't use that by itself. Indy, I'm coming, Lovey. Hi. Hi, love. You want some water? Drink some water. I'll get you more. I know, it's very hot. Where you're like, Mommy's streaming, so I gotta go to my crate. Indy, you want water? No? Hi. Okay, well, do you want to maybe see your people first? Wait, Indy, wait. Indy, come. Hi. No, look over there. Oh, no, not like that. Hi, Baba. I know. Hi. Hi. Go drink. Go drink. Hello, hello. Yeah, the blue pool. Because when I was thinking about foresty things, when I came across this one, I'm like, I liked bringing those more blues into it. Because I've done some like very earthy green and brown colorways before, but I wanted to bring in some more blues to it. Even though I'm pretty sure that there's like a teal and brown colorway from one of the random like color picker things, which I'm hoping to do one of those again soon. So, yeah. All right, Bubba. Okay, you want to say goodbye to your fans? Indy. Here, come here. Sit. No, wait. I know. Fine. I was like, oh no, it's in the way of the thing. Good boy. I know. You're a smart baby. All right. Aw, thank you. He's a good boy. And completely back to normal. All right, let's now officially go to the counter. Although I guess I can still be here in front of the camera a little bit. Okay, so the colors that I have up here include teal green. I think I have lichen and moss next to it. Then I have pecan brown and teddy bear brown. Both of them, pecan brown is a very neutral, cool toned brown, but I feel like we have more like yellow in here. So I think that with some of the lichen or something can help sort of shift it to a more yellowy but still deep brown. The teddy bear brown is just in case I feel like I need a little bit more brown. I'm probably not going to use that. The true black also I have on hand in case I want to deepen a color or make it less bright. The alpine blue and sour apple that I have on the far right, the sour apple is potentially a little bright, but there are some pops of bright green leaves, and so I have that. And then the alpine blue is if something is way too yellow and I want to bluify it a little bit, or to sort of play around with the teal for the water. So, yes, there is that. And so, my thought, all right, well, chat, do you have any guesses of what kind of technique I'm going to do today? I actually don't know if you guys will guess. You might. But I'm excited. I have no idea how it'll turn out. Because I don't know if I'll use like all of these colors. But although now I'm having like other ideas and different ideas. But I think I'm going to go with my original plan. Even though part of me is like, oh. So right now I'm like, oh, I should have totally done the shoebox and like poured the colors in because waterfall pour. Like that would have been so cool to then let those colors sort of blend a little bit, which is not what I'm doing. I'm not doing dip dye, but I'm not doing scribbles. I need to do a scribbles inspiration sometime. Ooh, that could be fun with the Barbie, which maybe will be next month or September or something. I'm not going to do speckles. Okay, I'm going to do something in my catering steam pan. And I will say that Gretchen and Beth got it. We're going to lasagna our yarn today. So the lasagna technique, is one that was dubbed by chat, is a technique where in one pan I will dye, say, 200 grams of yarn with no acid. I'll layer on the acid dye powder onto it, sort of get that yarn good to go. Then I will layer on more yarn and more dye on top of that. Uh-oh. I'm not sure how much got lost, because it just said that my software disconnected a moment. So maybe none. No, the freezing was my software. It randomly disconnected me or something, and then it's like reconnected. Okay, so lasagna, I'm just going to be layering yarn, dye, yarn, dye, yarn, dye, creating the same-ish type of colorway all the way through. I have played around with this, doing different colors on each layer, which is also really, really cool. But today I'm going to focus on the same kind of effect, mostly on each layer. Oh, it was just a blip? Okay, good. I wasn't sure how long, because it felt like at least 30 seconds over here. But what was I going to say? I'm going to go deal with the dog. But there is going to be one little twist today. I'm sorry. I don't know why he's freaking out. Oh, Indy. Okay, hopefully he will give us some space. Let's see. Oh, I need my monitor so I can see chat. Your cat is also talking. Shannon and you're having a conversation. That's hilarious. Okay, we're going to put that there. Okay. Because what I don't know, I want to create something variegated. And yeah, but what I don't know is if I want it to be like completely repeating, or if I want there to be a little bit potentially of like modeling of some of the colors in some of the sections. So with the first layer, we will totally just play around with this and see where we end up. Yes, this is a good comfortable spot. Okay, now one thing, okay, so one thing, I'm planning on dyeing 8 skeins. And I'm planning on dyeing a mixture of fingering weight yarn and DK weight yarn. So I'm going to be dyeing Stroll and Swish, my main 2 staples. Bare Stroll is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and Bare Swish is 100% superwash merino. I have 4 of each skein that I'm going to layer. But the question is, do I do like Swish on one side, Stroll on the other? Or do I do like a layer of Swish and then the next layer be stroll, and then the next layer swish, or something like that. You get what I'm saying? So I'm going to make a poll as I set up, because I can't decide. Okay. How should I layer the yarn? One each. Okay. Hopefully that does make sense. Because like the first one each stroll and swish each layer would be like one side of the pan would be all stroll and one side would be all swish. And I don't know, I'm now going to check to see if either of those are on sale. Oh, come on. Yarn. There. Oh wait, what was that new yarn? Oh no, they just changed the pictures. Let's see. Okay, Stroll is not on sale right now, but they are saying low stock. That is frightening. Swish Decay is on sale, but it looks like only 10%. As part of the big, or part of the summer sale. Ooh, it's close. You want both in each layer to get a full set of each. Well, so I'm going to be doing 4 layers of 2 skeins. So either way, we should end up with very similar color results in the end. Yeah, I think that it shouldn't matter how I do it. So I think in the original lasagna video, before it was called Lasagna over Hanukkah, and I can do because I'm sitting down. I think in that original video, I had a mixture of fingering and DK weight yarn in there, but I don't know how they were mixed together. So I have certainly mixed them before, and there wasn't like a big difference between it. I'm not expecting there to be a difference. I was originally planning on doing like a layer of swish and then a layer of stroll, and it just occurred to me that I could have one of each on each layer. Oh no, we can't have 50-50. 50-50 would be hard. Now, what I don't know is if I try to mix 2 different dyes on one area, like, will they blend completely, or will I get some like modeling of them? That's what I don't know. So that is my like internal debate. But we'll see what we end up with, and yeah, we'll see where this goes. And I mean, I'm excited. So, because I think maybe I'll pick 4 colors for the main areas and then decide how to like dapple other colors on, because I do have a little bit of experience now adding like a tiny bit of one color, but we might end up with some dye lot differences depending on how, I don't know, depending on whether I stick to something that is like 4 or 5 actual small sections of color, or if I decide to try to do something a little bit different from what I've done before. Okay. Oh man, okay. So this is super close. Super close. All right, I think I'm gonna have one of each on each layer, which means we can compare them easily, and so that'll be nice. I'm gonna let the dog out though. He was outside, and then he was inside, and now he's going back outside, and hopefully that will calm him. Hi. You don't do this when I'm filming regular. You only do this when I'm streaming. Well, that's not true. Sometimes sometimes you bark while I'm filming regular. But, hey, let's go outside. You come. Indy. Indy, okay, go outside. What do you want? Okay, Indy, okay, go. You need to go potty? Okay. Oh, do you just want... No, that's not going to happen. He comes, he's like standing at the door staring at it and not wanting to be out. Indy, what do you want? I'm creating a monster. Fine. Fine. Yeah. This is a sticky one though. You want to treat? Ah! Oh my gosh. Okay, go to down. All done, Indy. Sorry, everyone. I have no idea how loud his barking is on camera. Oh God, that's my soap dispenser. That is a little bit awful. Okay. So I also have a yarn mop for today. None of the yarn has any acid in it, and it has all pre-soaked for about an hour, I would say. And so I do have a steamer basket set up already. And with our yarn mop, we might need to try to like heat it at some point. Mainly because, I'll turn on the steamer basket. Mainly because it's possible it might get enough color on it that I'd start moving things around. Indy, oh, I know, he like, normally I wouldn't do it, but I'm trying to get you to be quiet so I can stream. And I was like, oh no. Oh, I forgot. I don't need to squeeze out that much water because we're going to want as much water in the yarn as we can have, so that way we can spread out our yarn. So a lot of times if I'm dyeing, say, 300 grams of yarn in a pan or 400 grams of yarn in a pan, I have to flip it so many times to get coverage through to the middle of the skein. But doing 200 grams of yarn at a time, I can spread both more. And so with this one layer, I will probably dye the yarn, flip it, and dye it some more. And actually, because we're doing similar colors on all rounds, we can flip the yarn on subsequent layers. When I was doing a different color on each layer, then I did not flip the yarn. Because when I forget if I started with pink on the bottom, when I had pink and then added blue on the next layer, if I flipped the yarn over, that would shift the pink. So, yes, that is the concern there. Now, all of the tools and equipment that I'm using to dye this yarn today are dedicated for dyeing yarn and are never ever used for the preparation of food. So that is very, very important. When you're doing commercial dyes, you really want to make sure you have separate equipment. And I maybe added a little more water than I wanted because when I go to flip the yarn, When I lift it up, there is some liquid here, so we might get some spread between colors, but that is also fine. So right here I have the stroll, and here I have the swish. All right, and let's think how I want to arrange these colors. Because I think I want the pool over here. So I'm thinking like teal and alpine somehow over here. Hopefully I have enough of those. I don't think they're running that low yet. Then okay, then maybe we'll do moss, then pecan, then lichen. I think might be the way I want to play with this. And so therefore, let's start with the lichen, and then we'll do the like teals. And I'm now, because we're dealing with dry dye powder, I'm going to go put on my deluxe rubber respirator mask, safety glasses, and gloves. I always wear I'll show the mask. I always wear this mask whenever I'm dyeing yarn with dry dye powder, and I've never actually found dye on the mask. But if there's a spill or something, you don't want to inhale these powders. That's not good for your lungs, and so it's just a precaution. You get that you've worked with both of these yarn bases a lot, and it's easy for you to tell the difference, but I've always wondered how I can tell which is which. So swish is slightly more yellow when wet, and stroll, and because swish is DK weight, the strands are thicker. Let me see, actually maybe I'll take a photo, and if I remember, I'll pull this up later. Trying to get a photo of the cross section, so that way I can zoom you in more. Hopefully it will upload that. Oh, Indy, I'm not letting, sorry everyone, I'm not going to let him out because his needs are met. And it's just going to be torture for me for a little bit. Okay, and hopefully it won't be that bad on camera. Ugh. So shut the doors too. Normally that's good enough. Okay. I hate it. The worst is occasionally he'll start barking right when I'm about to talk and give a sentence. Yeah. And so then it's hard because I'll say like 2 or 3 words and then he'll give one bark. And I'm just like, no, please, baby, just wait. All right. Let's start with the lichen, because we can also edit this color as needed. And at first it's looking super yellow, but you'll see in a moment. Now I do have some dye on my hands, and so I'm trying to touch both skeins in a similar way. Now this color does break, and it might also strike a little bit fast, which is fine. I don't mind if the colors are more dappled. But you can see how deep this color is using the powder directly compared to, let me pull this up, the little swatch on the poster. And I mean, this color matches it lighter, but this color does have some good punch to it. And so I think I'm going to add some sour apple. So I wanted there to be
I'm just doing this pretty thin. Now, sour apple is a color that will spread, but I wanted there to be a little bit more contrast in the colors before we go in to our brown. And we could lose some of this from the way the colors move and blend, and that'll be okay. That will be fine. Now, I will say, ultimately, Stroll and Swish do take up color very similarly. It does feel like I have a tad more color here right now. I'm going to need to move this closer. And actually, hopefully that is still on camera. I might need to shift. No, you're still on camera. Okay. Great. Okay, because sometimes I do like all dark to all light, and I wanted to have more movement of color in here. And I debated sort of dappling the colors on each other, but having smaller and larger color sections, which won't pool. This is a repeating colorway, but it isn't a pooling one because of the way the yarn is scrunched up. Some sections might be slightly bigger, some might be slightly smaller. Oh, I love pecan brown. Do you guys say pecan or pecan? Let me know in the chat. Now, it's important to try to work these colors through. Because if I don't work it through, then we could end up with some white. Now, there is going to be a little bit of white on the bottom here, but we're going to flip and add more color. And to help with the next layer, we will add some of these colors on top of this layer and not move them through before we put the next yarn on. So that way, that'll help start adding color to the next round. But, okay, I'm pretty happy so far. Pecan. Well, okay, I see one pecan, but I believe, Beth, you're from the South, right? And so we call it pecans unless we're talking about pie. And then my husband requires me to call it pecan pie. His parents are from Texas, so. Although they don't really have much of an accent anymore themselves. They've lived in Massachusetts for a long time now. But that's the reason why, like, we make enchiladas for Christmas and stuff, because those were traditions that my father-in-law had while growing up. Moss green is another lovely color that breaks. And I'm really happy. I went by, oh funny, I think there's some blues stuck on my glove. That might be a little deep for some of the colors that we have, but I'm okay with it. Okay, now we have to do our water. Now, teal green can go fairly dark, and we don't really want it to be that dark. So let's start with a little bit. I obviously still have some on my fingers, and I'm lightly tapping this out at first, because yeah, there's just a lot of pigment. Oh, good. Oh, good, that did lighten as I moved it through our yarn. And we do have whites on the other side, but that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. I'm very glad. I think I want to add a little bit of blue on it. This is the Alpine blue. Just a little bit on the very, very end. which will separate what would otherwise be a large teal section. Now, one way we might end up with some differences between our different skeins would be the size of that blue. And you guys, I am so sorry about the dog, because I don't want him running around while I'm dealing with dry dye powder. You say tomato, unless it's soup, then it's tomato. Oh man, this is really, really pretty. I need to get a photo before I flip, because who knows where we will end up. Oh, Indy. I love, we got so many colors. The yarn mop does not have much on it yet, but that's also okay. Oh God. Or are you going to destroy my door? Indy, settle. Okay. To be fair to the dog, I think there was a crumb of his treat in there. Now, I would be able to ignore that, except for the fact that I'm streaming. So, the barking isn't bad? Okay, good. Alright, we're going to flip the yarn, trying to not make a mess of things. This is definitely spreading some of those colors. Now you can see some of that lichen breaking, which is some of that remains in our finished yarn. That would be beautiful. That would give us some of that like dappling in the trees. And so I'm likely to not flip in other rounds, but we'll see how it's going. Now here is my little PSA to all of you to be very careful around steamer baskets. I burnt myself because I was trying to turn on the light over my microwave, which is like a magnetic bar above it. And when I was reaching for that, I was like in the steam for like a hair too long. The burn isn't a bad one. It's enough I have like a little red mark now, but it did hurt a little bit. And I was just like, oh no. Oh, I felt silly. But yeah, normally I am much better than Keith at ignoring the barking. It's just when I'm trying to have my attention elsewhere that it's a problem. I am drying my hands in between each color, because that way I have dry gloves before I go on in. No worries about Indy? Okay, because I worry that like it's causing like ear, like, I mean, yeah, I have no idea how soft it is. Maybe I should just check the audio, but I also don't want to know. Oh my gosh, when he barks and when it's like I notice it in a recording, it's so hard for me. I'm like, no. Especially like also the timer. the timer can be going off and I can ignore that for a very long time. And so sometimes in stream I start to do that and then I'm like, oh no, I should turn off that timer. Now if on the middle, in the middle, we have some white patches, I don't mind. Again, the goal isn't to have something that's perfectly repeating. The goal is to have, and like we've got some browns that have traveled up, the goal is to have something that is pretty. Yeah, that is our goal. Our yarn map has almost nothing on it so far. It might get something on it later. Actually, it will when I add powder on, but don't press it through. This is the most number of colors that I have ever used for a lasagna like this without changing colors on different rounds. I do in my editing queue have another lasagna video. So I don't know if you could notice, but because I picked the dye up between my two fingers, I did, when I started to spread out the color, I tapped and wiped one finger on one side, and then I wiped it onto the other. Now, I could have arranged the colors in more of a gradient way by having the lichen and it go from brown to moss to lichen to sour apple, and that would be somewhat more brightening, but I wanted it to be different from the way I usually do things. I wanted it to feel a hair more random, even though it's not that random ultimately. I wanted it to feel that way. Spoiled pups barking doesn't bother me. Yeah, I mean, I can promise he had actually too big of a breakfast because Ryder was feeding him this morning with pumpkin. He has everything he could ever want, except for probably chicken all day, every day. He's probably like, Mom, you aren't giving me what I want. I want chicken and hamburgers and whipped cream. Oh, I forgot I have to... There's other house maintenance stuff I need. But I can peek, and yeah, we're getting a good amount of color. Nothing here is super saturated. Watch me in the conclusion say, I wish it was more saturated. Because that's what I tend, oh my gosh, me mocking myself is so funny. That's what I tend to say after a lot of these videos, is that I wish that there was more. But the reason why there isn't more is also because I don't want to go too dark. Now, there was a video I did recently where I was like, sure. Oh, I was so sure. I was like, oh, I've added so much dye here. This is black. And it's charcoal gray. And I was like, oh no! Did I add too much? No, not really. I mean, I added a fair amount here, but it's okay. Nice. Oh, good. It's fun using so many different greens. Yeah, I like the... Because see, like this as a progression, like, makes sense. I wanted it to be, like, where the water is, it's not like, oh, a smooth transition all the way to the water's edge. There's some differences there. I like, because of the way the light is coming in through my windows, I cannot see. It's like reflecting on my glasses, this edge where I'm attempting to add the blue. Are my glasses steaming? Maybe a little bit. That was pretty funny. I was like, why? Like right there, could I not see it? Okay. I'm gonna prepare our next yarn. Let me see. There's white in the photo, yes. Totally. Okay. I'm going to grab the yarn, and then we're going to add dye and then put the yarn on. Uh-oh. Reconnection successful. That's not what you want. I mean, reconnection is better than staying unconnected. But I hear like noise and I'm like, uh-oh, what's happening? Okay, so I'm going to add powder. To each of our colors, and this is where our yarn moth is going to start getting some color on her, because I want there to be a little bit of dye on top to help go into our next layer. Now, you don't have to do this. This is not something I did if I'm changing colors on each layer. But you certainly can if you are changing colors on each layer. I cannot see you. But there are other things that, you know, we could try this sometime, like randomly speckling onto the yarn and then laying yarn on top and just seeing what happens. One other idea I had for lasagna-ing yarn would be to, what was the idea? To do a very good colorway and then add yarn on top and keep adding yarn on top to see how much lighter and lighter things get. The problem is things would get pretty light pretty quickly. It really depends on the pigments that you're using, and yeah, I think that it could be a little bit disappointing to try that, just because don't get me wrong, I want to try it, but I think that by the second layer, well, you'll see in a moment, we might not have as much color as what we're hoping for. Okay. The teal probably did not go all the way to the end like it should. But that's okay. Oh dear. So I think what I'm going to do is add the Alpine Blue down here, where the way the lights are, when my hand is there, I like can't see what I'm doing. Okay, wipe the dye off. And now I'm going to layer on our yarn, starting with our stroll. And so the way I'm going to do this is sort of plop the edge down and then sort of scrunch it as I go, sort of the best I can. Okay, and we'll move it out a little bit as needed. This one is a little bit tricky because I have so many different colors here. It's a little bit trickier to lay out. But you can see just how much I can spread this yarn out. And now I'm like, I don't even know where to start. We can start pressing on, and you can see that even with adding that dye there, our colors right now are lighter for sure. We're getting some greens through, and sometimes like the colors have no acid, so the colors definitely haven't set yet, but you can see how, I mean, the colors weren't like the darkest they could be, but they had some color there. And so if we were to do this and add more yarn on top of here, I'm not sure how much darker it would get, because this is feeling pretty light, but we can still try. There's no harm in trying. And we'll add more water in a little bit also. But see, you can see that this is fairly light and the color down below is still dark. So we haven't like, some color is just striking to the yarn right away. All right, I'm gonna pop the yarn mop in the steamer basket for a tiny bit. And we're gonna take a little break. Normally I don't take a lot of breaks when I'm lasagnaing, but this one is a big one. Okay, actually I'm gonna have to swap gloves too. And this is a summer problem. It is just too hot. And my hands are sweating, so therefore I'm like, I won't be able to get these gloves back on. So what I do is I wash them, hang them up to dry, and then I'll use this pair another day on another project. And then use a pair I used on a different project over here
when it's time. That feels good. All right, let's set a timer for 5 minutes. I have no idea how much of a difference adding heat does. I have no idea how much of a difference adding heat does when you don't have acid in there, but you can see with no acid, the difference between this and where we were before we put these colors on is a difference. But yeah, I think I've done 3 colors, and what am I doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm not expecting much to change, but ooh! Oh, the colors look great! Oh, I'm happy. Oh man, I'm so happy. Let's see, and I can see the chat. Sorry guys, if there are questions, feel free to leave them again. The barking is probably worse in person. Cool. Could lasagna be done with liquid dyes? Maybe. The problem with using liquid dyes to do this kind of layering technique is that it's harder to add liquid as precisely, and then if you want more color you have to add more volume, then too much volume will spread. So the reason why I like doing the powders, this has there we go. The reason why I like doing the powders is that I can keep adding more color, or I have a little bit more control for spreading it out. And when I have it liquid, then I could end up with too much volume too fast. Now, increasing the water volume on the layers here is going to be important because we want the powders as they get wet, and we squish and dissolve it, that'll push it through more. Whereas I think with liquid, since it's already dissolved and you start pushing it through, I think things don't move as much. Do I sell my yarns? Yes! Yes, I do, actually. Oh no. Where are we? Da-da. Okay, that's nitpicks. That's pinned. Okay, my mouse is gone. Oh no. Okay. How do I get my mouse back? Okay, there's my mouse. I have a mouse again! That was creepy. Yes, so my shop is ChemKnits Creations on Etsy. And I am going to quickly listen. See? And I am going. Boo, I was hoping that it wasn't as audible. I might move him upstairs because this is bugging me. I do sell my yarn. And what I was going to say and why I had this prepped is that if you want to see yarn from past dye along live streams, you can just type ChemKnits dye along And then you can see other yarn that I dyed in these streams in the past. Ooh, I forget when I did that one. Oh, funny, it doesn't show the like highlight over. But yeah. And then sometimes there might be something that actually wasn't in the live stream, but I accidentally copied over. And then some other searches. I've got all these glorious mini skein sets, but I will leave you on here, and I'm going to take a quick break and put Indy up on the 3rd floor. So you might see an ad, but you also might not. Oh, Indy. Okay. Indy, go to the 3rd floor. Okay. Go up. Thank you. All the way up. From one annoying sound to another. No! Oh, goodness. Okay, tongues. Oh, dear. Now, the reason why I still have no acid in the yarn mop as well is that I don't want to introduce acid from the yarn mop back into the pan. So I'm going to let that cool for a moment. And in the meantime, because I'll come and look at more questions if there are any, I'm just going to increase the water volume. Because for all adding liquids, you know, has like you add more and more water and you can't always control it. We want to be able to squish things. And the thing that surprised me was that the bottom yarn was not substantially darker than yarn that was like further up when I first did this. So now since I don't have my gloves on, okay, you know what? Maybe we could do a fade like this. So I bet that some of the color further down, as long as it's a color that's not breaking. Oh dear. Oh, funny. Oh, that is so funny. What the lichen did. Because of the way it breaks, we got some like speckles on it. So that's going to be a difference. Oh, that's funny. Oh man. And you know, we can always flip portions and add more dye on portions, but because I added that first, that happened. That is so, so funny. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Yeah, in some areas the colors might be soft, which is another reason why I start with starting with no acid. You can really blend them, but we might have some areas that are a little bit harsher. And so, yeah. What is in my pocket? Oh, a hair tie. That's fine. Oh man. Okay. let's see. Oh, I can give you my face. No. Hello. Any upcoming plans for more mini lace rate silk dyeing? And, excuse me. Oh, Melanie, I took a quick photo and haven't shared that with you yet. I haven't taken a photo with a black light yet. I need to try to do a black light selfie. Melanie made me some earrings that are adorable. Totally, totally adorable. Yeah, I definitely want to play more with those silk minis. I don't know when. It's not something that I've sketched on my like immediate timeline yet, but it's something that I absolutely want to do. Yeah, so one way I plan videos, it depends on how many lab partners I currently have signed up, which the lab partner listing is currently sold out. But based on the lab partners and then potentially requested dates, I have some things like laid out like that. And so that's why I can be like, ooh, well, I have like, you know, a lasagna that'll be coming up. Although probably not till October, because I think that's when that video will come out and things like that. But yeah, I definitely want to play more with that silk. Oh man. How am I doing on time? Okay, I'm fine. We're all fine. Oh, that's so funny. A minute apart, I got, so what, there's 2 movies coming out this weekend? Fandango sent me 2 messages a minute apart each for the 2 main movies that are unrelated to each other. Which is so funny. You love breaking, speckling, and pooling. I think it's the charm with hand-dyed yarn. Yeah, it's funny that like I, in my brain, like obsessed when I'm knitting about whether or how the yarn is going to pool. And I didn't really come here, but hi! Oh, man. Oh, you know what I should have done? If I remember, before the next layer, I'll take a picture where I can see all the jars. But where did I put my mask? Over there. You're in the Utah yarn crawl last week. You vowed not to buy yarn. Then you found some space dyed looking broken violet. Oh, man. Oh, it's funny because I wrote down who it was. I did the sheep shearing festival, and I definitely don't need yarn. But there were some, like, dyers there, and I was like, I want to support other artists. But I didn't need anything, and I did buy something that was, like, something I might dye myself. But it was pretty, and I liked it. Okay. I guess, are going to go down the line. I am curious. See, there the teal has transferred more. I have a feeling the teal is going to be a little darker than I wanted, and everything else is going to be a little bit lighter. Sometimes you don't know how the colors are going to play with one another until you give it a shot. Oh, that is a fair amount of lichen. Oh, good. We have a fair amount of water here now, which helps. And I did not put the lid on that jar. I was naughty. I always try to put the lids when I'm not actively trying to access it. Okay, that is blending those lichen colors a little bit more. Because see, when I press, I see more of all the colors. But it's funny how we definitely are going to have some modeling in there, which I'm okay with. I need to remember that that is one reason why I picked that color, because it's like brown and green. Oh my goodness. Okay, lichen. The alpine blue also does appear to be striking a little bit quickly, which is just worth noting. One thing I was surprised about when I did this at Hanukkah was how few like white patches there were
on that yarn that I was dyeing. I was surprised with how much like the colors went through. And I can even check in here without flipping and just see, okay, is this color going down enough? Yes. Okay, great. Before moving on to the next color. Sour apple. I'm like getting ready to take a picture. But yeah, if we end up with some like dappling and stuff, that's going to be great. It's not a problem. But yeah, it was like, oh, if a color was too warm, then I had the black here so we could cool that down. It's funny having the darkest color or the deepest color. I don't know if it's actually going to be the darkest in this colorway, but the pecan brown, having it in the middle is interesting. Now, I totally feel like it's darker on the swish, but I also don't know if that's just my angle. But actually, maybe I want to add a tiny bit more brown. It's nice to be able to check through layers, and so having that dye before like I add the yarn on, I think does make a little bit of a difference. There we go. I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like it does. Because it just adds a little bit more color on that underside. But I'm surprised with, you know, I wonder actually if there's a difference if I did this with distilled water. Because the fact that you get so much breaking and some colors still strike so quickly, even when there's no acid and things are cold, is surprising. Now, I've gotten a few tools from, I think, Amazon Prime Day. I got a handheld steamer, which I never thought about using that for dyeing, but someone in one of my comments said that they use it when they are like doing like speckles or something over here, then they like steam it before they move on. And that sounded like a really cool idea. That just sounded so interesting, and that's something that I plan to try because now I have one. Unless, let's see, here's the dilemma. If I was going to use it as a steamer on dyeing, I then would not want to use it as a steamer on laundry, just in case I got dye on it, unless I was like really, really sure it was clean. But it wasn't expensive, so I suppose, given that I just burnt myself recently, I should try it out. I should try it out first. I need to try it on clothes to get like a good feel for it. What is it with me adding more color on the stroll than the swish? Okay, maybe not. Maybe. Oh, I don't think I actually was. I think it's where I'm standing, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. But I do see some alpine blue there already. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit. Oh, fun. Oh, this is so much fun. Okay. I want to get a photo with the dye jars, because then I have that. Let's see, can I read? You're interested in how long it takes me to use my new, oh, so for me to use, I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to use it. Oh. I know, I have so many things I want to do, and I just keep feeling like I don't have time. There we go. And I was like, oh, I'm totally going to do some spinning vlogs and this and that. And then I'm like, where did the time go? Why didn't I do it? Okay. I'm going to get more yarn ready. Uh-oh. Who is stuck? There we go. Okay, popping these down here. Wow, I just realized, I'm surprised that more dye didn't fall down there. Need dry hands. Okay. Now, part of me wanted to do and add the lichen last, but I'm going to do this in the same order that I did last time. And one thing that I haven't done here is I have not labeled the yarn in any kind of way to know what's the first layer and what's the last layer. So that's going to be something that we just won't know when we're looking at our finished yarn. So it'll be hard to distinguish between them, which is fine, which is totally fine. It's just maybe sometime we could do some kind of control where I'm trying to see how similar or different they are. I'm impressed by how well the yarn is staying in the mop and not moving. And this is the point, whenever I'm filming a video and this starts to happen where I start focusing so much that I'm not talking, that's usually when then I'm like, oh, this should be a time lapse. Oh, there was like something which was a really cool technique and video that I'm super excited to share. When I was working on it, I was like, yep, I cannot talk while I'm doing this. I need to focus. Which, not that it, because it was something hard, it was because, like, it was, I don't know, it just required focus, I guess. It just amuses me when I don't talk. Because in case you can't tell, I like to talk. Okay, I don't want to add a ton. Oh dear, I feel like I just added a ton of teal. That's okay if it's a little too dark. These tall jars I find to be so challenging. I find it so hard to get any kind of the grip on the dyes, which I totally could transfer it. Sometimes I wonder, and this would be someday maybe when I get like a studio of my own, then I think I might start ordering dye in larger jars, and then if I'm doing that, then I could transfer to some of these smaller jars that I already have. Okay, this time, let's layer our swish first, sort of helping scrunch as we lay it down and then spreading it out. And so it's immediately picking up a fair amount of color. And so there. Cool. Let's spread this out more. We do want the yarn to be as spread as possible, because when we're adding more color, we're trying to focus on our current level, not on the previous ones. Oh. And we also do not want to squirt dye anywhere. But it's so surprising seeing like the depth of color that's beneath one layer and seeing like, oh, I'm surprised more color doesn't come up and come through. Because when I press, you can see that there's a lot of brown in there that has not yet dissolved. But it's not quite coming up, although the teal is looking very, very good here. But we'll still add some more, because why not? All right, now sometimes when I am squishing color through like this, and I'm gonna go put the yarn mop in for 5 minutes. Sometimes when I'm squishing colors through the yarn, what was I gonna say? I don't remember. Oh, sometimes I might wipe my hands in between going on another color. But I'm definitely not doing that today, and I'm not seeing that cause any problems.
It is humid. All right, let's actually set the timer now. I didn't notice dyes squishing around, but figured may as well. And I'm going to add more water. Oh, so you said, remember how I said that I wasn't seeing a lot of colors spread? I did that and immediately a river of teal moved down. That is funny. Now the thing that adding more water, and I don't need to add a ton, but the thing that adding more water will do is it's going to compress the yarn a little bit less. So when you push and let things come up again, it is going to allow some of that yarn to sort of soak in some of that color. It's not going to be like stuck, kind of. Okay, this time I'm feeling like this level, and maybe it's because we added the yarn, like the more dye on top, maybe it's not. With this level and this amount of color on here, I feel like, okay, I would try to add yarn on top and see if it was a lot lighter and feel okay with that. But I don't feel the need to do that right now. Oh, I need glasses. Okay, let's see. You focus on things and your sentence trails off halfway. Focus, not talking. That's why God made voiceovers. Oh man. I definitely though know that I film the actual dyeing portion slightly differently if I know I'm doing a voiceover versus if I am filming while I'm talking and then I'm going to do a voiceover. And the main difference is the number of times that I pause to explain something. So if I'm dyeing if I'm dyeing yarn while listening to a podcast or something, I will go from one color to the next without, being descriptive about my thought process or stuff in the middle. And so things go a little bit faster, not a ton, but a little bit. I'm curious if I was doing this as a filmed video, if I would take a break every once in a while, because part of it is I want to check the chat and respond. Part is because Well, so I also am more likely to do voiceovers if I'm wearing the respirator mask. Because, yeah, I'm like, okay, you get the gist of what I'm doing here. Let's speed it up and you can watch the color create. Oh, man. You're working through your years of knit crate yarn, making hats. Oh, fun! I've enjoyed weaving with some of my knit crate yarn. Oh man, I miss though Dyer Supplier marled sock and silvery sock that had so much stellina in it. Because I forget. Trying to see. We can look through what to die for. Because the glitters, I don't know why I was thinking that maybe there was one that came out with more sparkle, but maybe not. I don't think so. I think those are all pretty much the same as what they were. Just too bad. I did learn though from Dyer Supplier that when they made silvery sock, I think like when you're talking with a mill, you need to give some instructions of how much of each fiber and stuff to use. And I think that maybe they said, oh, we want, 5 or 10% stellina. But stellina on its own, it's the fiber when you're going to blend it has the stellina has like some of the sparkle, and I think there's also some like acrylic or something mixed with it. I don't remember exactly the explanation. And so they did 10%, not of like what the whole, they ended up doing like 20% because they wanted the 10% stellina if it's like a 50-50 mix. So they heard what the yarn designers were saying. I'll pop back over. The mill heard what the yarn designers were saying and tried to deliver it, but then they created a product that had like way more sparkle than what was originally intended. And they're like, well, actually, this is a really, really cool yarn. Like, we should see what people think. And so I think that something like that. I could be wrong with like some of the blends, but I believe that silvery sock first came to be because they were trying to describe the amount of stellina that they wanted to create something. And so then the mill used more to try to, there was like a communication mix-up that resulted in that awesome yarn. You wonder if this yarn will knit up camouflage-ish. It might. I think it would look more camouflage on something crocheted because the stitches would like, the colors might pool both like horizontally a bit, but also give more vertical, so you would get more like shapes versus having like lines with a few patches. But it totally depends on what you're making. The yarn so far looks like a perfect representation of the inspiration photo. Thank you! Oh, like looking at this with the like slightly lighter one, I'm like, mwah, great. I was unsure, like, and I really wanted it to feel different from some other stuff because, I mean, one thing I do sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I'll go and I'll search in my shop for, say, like green. And then I'll look at what I have. Ooh, that looks really nice. I look at the different colors that I still have in stock. And then, okay, there's a lot of things that say green. But then I want to try to create something that is either different, or if I see a ton of green like that, then maybe instead I'll see, okay, well, how much is blue? Oh, because it has blue speckles. That's why it's showing up with blue. I might look through here and be like, okay, I have a couple medium blue tonals. I have some navy leaning yarns. What weights are those? Oh, those are worsted, and I might sort in like a given section. Can I search? I don't think I can search doubly, but I might even just scroll through one section and be like, ooh, you know what I don't have a lot of? Actually, do I have any, like, just neon pink? No, not on sock yarn. And so, yeah, and that'll sometimes, like, shape my plan of how we're going to get there. But, actually, while I'm having this brief intermission, this brief intermission, I want to say hi, welcome. Thank you for joining the ChemKnits dialogue. We do have a slightly new way to submit photos so you can be featured in the recap. So the way this works is that the yarn that I'm dyeing today, this yarn right here, I will film it dry and talk about what we did here in a short recap video that'll come out mid-August. That gives time for people to dye yarn. But since I can no longer sort my Instagram through by like most recent, I made a Google form, which I've linked below. And so you can upload the photos directly through the form. You can click on add file, which I'm not going to do. And you can do that. Or if you post on Instagram with the ChemKnits dialogue hashtag, you can then just link to your post here. And then I can download stuff from that directly. And you can still also submit on Facebook. You can go to the ChemKnits Facebook page and post on the inspiration photo right there. You can post on the photo with a photo comment of your yarn, and then I'll pull as many as I can to include in the recap. But because I wasn't able to include everything from June, feel free to use the Google form to submit your Instagram posts, or if you hadn't shared your yarn yet, feel free to share yarn through the form, and if I get some submissions with that, I'll try to include that in the recap as well, because I wasn't able to last month, which made me sad. That made me very sad, but I'm going to check chat. Okay. Hydrate. Yes, I'll go drink some water. Thank you. I've lost my voice twice in the last, like, month, maybe a little over a month. Once was a combination of projecting to elementary school age kids on color day the poor air quality from the fires, and then I probably had a tiny cold, so I lost my voice very badly. And then I lost my voice mildly while on Mackinac over the 4th of July, in part because of a bar crawl that involved dancing and singing at the top of my lungs, and then also probably some air quality. I definitely didn't have a cold or anything, but my voice, like, I still feel like my voice is only at 95%. There's some of it that I'm like, I still sound a hair hoarse, and it's been weeks. So hydrating is key. I just chugged that water. Oh, who was I talking to? I got it because I got my hair cut, and when my hair was being washed, I don't know if we were talking about the weather, but I all of a sudden, like, not on purpose, the most like Boston accent, I forget what word I said. I don't know if it was like water or there was something, but it wasn't like intentional. I just said it, and I was like, I don't know where that came from. Because like my grandma had a very soft Massachusetts accent. My grandfather also was pretty soft. He grew up in Roxbury, so he was in the city. She was out west in Massachusetts. But yeah, it's just funny because I feel like my accent is mostly Midwest-ish would be my best guess because of where I spent most of my childhood. Between pollen and wildfire smoke, you feel like you're chronically raspy. Okay, so maybe it's not just me. Hot liquids and spoonfuls of honey, yes. The allergens this year, yes. The allergens have been awful. Awful, awful. Thank you, I'm glad you like the yarn. You enjoy the chat as much as watching the colors from the yarn? Hey, chat is the best. I have the best group of people, and I feel like I can safely say, because we're in the far middle of the stream, we rarely get trolls. Occasionally we do, and that is awful, and I always feel really bad. The worst was, there was one when I had the chat like on the screen of whatever it was I was streaming, and there was a troll that was hidden, but because it was my end, you could see it. And I was just like, ooh, that isn't good. Because sometimes it's the usernames that are bad, not what they're saying. You were just visiting Boston in June and didn't run into many Boston-sounding folks until you visited Salem. Oh, funny. Salem is fun. I like North Shore. Mask is over there. And gloves. I could just chat all day. So, what will be coming up in July?
I'm hoping to take advantage of camp schedule and do a fun, like mystery surprise color picking kind of game. I think the last one was maybe January, and so I want to do that again. And so hopefully, now I don't want to get myself in trouble, but conceivably next week. Because I'm really hoping to be able to do that. Oh shoot, I do have to finish editing Die-Cut PS. Oh man. Because I was trying to think, like, have I finished all my obligations for the month? Not quite. I have yet to finish all of the videos that are coming out in July, I think, too. Although I might be pretty close. I have a lab partner video that is ready and scheduled. I forget if that's going to be on the 28th. And I don't know if that's the last one in July. So I might be starting August stuff, which feels great. That's like progress. And I'm trying to think. I need to edit. The big thing is I need to edit Die-Cut PS. That has filmed except for conclusions. And the Patreon early access video this month is going to involve some color swatching. And so I have to do some image editing just to get the names of all the colors on the screen. Which isn't bad, that just takes time. Because ideally I would try to get those videos out a little bit sooner, but I was on vacation for a whole week. I should give myself credit for not feeling super behind. Only a little bit behind. What else do I have to do? I've already done my unboxing. And I have some branded things potentially coming up. So I have a bunch of emails to send. But schedule-wise, I'm good. I just have to start. It's time to start thinking more seriously about Hanukkah and planning. I realized as I was like looking for some extras, I have a lot of the extras already planned because while I was working on something else, I got some samples of things and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And so I just got them. I bought it already. I was like, I'm not going to wait. I don't want to wait. I just want to have these things. So I might have most of like the progress keepers. And I've got samples of the packaging that I want to do this year that I think should work out nicely. But yeah, I need to decide. I need to decide what I'm going to make. And what like the bonus skeins will be, and I have to order the yarn. I suppose that's the big thing I have to do. Oh, that's nerve-wracking. It's always nerve-wracking placing a huge yarn order for, I don't know if anyone else feels this, who like has a shop. But just having the bare inventory always just, I feel guilty almost. And so that feels odd when I feel a little bit guilty for, not for as much for like making the purchase, but yeah, actually maybe it is like just spending that much money on it, especially like, so things, I mean, this is getting personal, but you know, when it comes to like July, that's when we pay like our homeowners insurance and all of our car insurance for the year and stuff. So it always feels like an expensive month. And so therefore I'm like, ooh, I feel a little guilty. But, oh dear. Yeah. Sorry, focusing about using teal, but not too much teal. So sometimes I feel guilty, but I forget, like, I can't do the pre-orders yet because since I use Etsy, in order, I need to ship things within 90 days. So I have to think about, okay, this is when I plan to ship the Hanukkah yarn, and then I have to go backwards from that and think, okay, when can I do the pre-orders? And then I need to make sure I have everything I need for the samplers on hand before I do the pre-orders, because I never want to pre-sell something and not have the yarn in my possession, because then I wouldn't be able to fulfill the order and I'd feel horrible. I would feel so awful if, and it's not fair to the customers either. And I've seen other dyers get in trouble, not like bad, but like struggle themselves because, you know, all of a sudden something is out of stock. So I highly recommend, if you're doing any kind of pre-sale or pre-order, just make sure you have what you need on hand before you list it. That is my advice. Be kind to myself. Oh, thanks. Yay! I'm totally blanking on the video. Wait, which one is it? Because there's a lot of. I can't believe I'm complete. Oh, I remember. I was like, wait, which order did I do for the videos that are coming up? My lab partners rock. You guys help me. Well, actually, everyone watching rocks. But lab partners let me take more risks. Yeah, I guess the one exception to my no pre-sales rule is occasionally I will set up a lab partner like relationship and then do the and it might be for a yarn that I don't have in stock, and we'll set that up, but I won't do the pre-order. I won't pre-order the item until they've checked out, but I'm open with communication, and like I would refund the order if something happened and I couldn't follow through. But I've been very lucky with requests lately because I've had a lot of things in stock. And so that has been fun. Okay, sour apple. If you're just tuning in, this is a yarn lasagna. There are currently 3 layers, 6 pans, 3 layers, 6 skeins in this pan. And we're about to add 2 more skeins. And then we'll talk about how I will heat set all of this. But before we transition to our final layer, I'm adding on a little bit of powder, so that way that helps just get a little bit of color in our next layer, sort of right from the get-go. And I am wearing a respirator mask, safety glasses, and gloves because we're working with dry dye powders here today. And there is no acid in our pan. And the yarns I'm working with are Knit Picks Swish DK, which is 100% superwash merino wool, and Knit Picks Stroll fingering weight yarn. Swish DK is 100% superwash merino, and then Stroll, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And so those are the 2 yarn bases. I have affiliate links to Knit Picks, and well, those 2 aren't really much on sale. But I have an affiliate link to the Knit Picks summer yarn sale pinned in the chat, and I do earn commission if you make a purchase through my link. But I always try really hard, not just because of FTC, but because of like trust between viewers and content creators. I try really hard to disclose like items that I get and affiliate relationships and stuff. The funniest thing about Knit Picks is that I started off using Knit Picks yarn in my videos and stuff, and I didn't know they had an affiliate program until I had done years of promotion for them. And then when I realized, like, wait, I could have been making some money off of this all along. Although I will say, oh, never mind. But yeah, I was just like, when I realized, like, oh, this is great, because I'm already talking about this already. And so that was just a very natural product integration. I sometimes get, like, sponsorship offers and stuff, and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to think about like how that would work with one of my videos. Like, I got a request from a 3D printing company they wanted to sponsor me, probably because I've mentioned 3D printers in the past, including one of this brand's. Like, we own a 3D printer from this brand. And I considered taking the sponsorship, and then I was talking to my husband, but we just didn't know where we would put it, because it was a resin printer is what the sponsorship would have been for. So it's not the type that we have experience for, and I was worried about we were worried about the fumes. And so I was working with Keith to see if, like, he had an idea, because he would have had to be, like, pretty much in the video, because he is a 3D printing expert. Part of his research, he's a professor, and part of his research centers around some 3D printing. And so I was like, oh man, that's the closest thing that I've considered taking in a while that isn't yarn or dye or something more obviously related to ChemKnits. Just adding some more water. We currently have 800 grams of yarn in this pan. This is a 4-inch deep catering steam pan. I still have only 2 catering steam pans, the same ones that I ordered originally. The yarn mop still has no acid in it. Yeah, this is going great. I'm going to sit down. Please leave questions in the chat because I'm going to let the yarn mop heat for about 5 minutes. And again, I don't know how much that's actually doing, but I think it's helping some of the colors set. My tap water is slightly acidic. It's not super acidic. Sometimes in these streams, I dye many, many, many different colorways. Today, I'm mostly focusing on the lasagna, mainly because on one hand, this one is more labor intensive because with more yarn, but also because I have a dentist appointment this afternoon. So I have to deal with that. When I get my own studio, maybe then. Oh, you love the spring mini series this year. Oh wait, okay, I'm gonna go back up and go for it because I'm reading things backwards. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, tomorrow's video is a super, super fun one. Actually, then Tuesdays is also really, really exciting. Let's see. You love your ChemKnits stitch markers. Oh, thank you. You like the metal ones? It's easier to find cutesy designs than the plastic acrylic. Your favorites are the metal ones. Oh, fun. I don't know if I have metal ones coming this time, but I have like my eye on some wooden ones, which I've never tried before, and some other metal ones. I have like, oh man. The ones I haven't decided are 2 things. So I haven't decided on the Progress Keepers for the add-ons, because I always do something different. And then I usually have one other one on hand that I use for, what's it? Oh, if someone gets multiple add-ons, then I sometimes have one that I'll swap one of the Progress Keepers for. So, you go out for monthly payment plans. Yeah. Morning, everyone. Can you do an email or survey to get a buy-in for pre-orders before the Etsy date? You mean to find out how many there would be? I mean, I have, for Hanukkah, I have a pretty good feel for how many to do from previous years. And then I always end up getting nervous around when I'm shipping based on the number left, but I've always sold out of Hanukkah, always, in the end. And so, yeah, fingers crossed. Oh yeah, Jill, I think I'm ready to ship yours soon. Assuming that gal Jill is the Jill in my head, I think. I have to double check. Oh, that's so steamy. Yeah, Jill, I think that you'll be getting a message from me soon. Yeah, when I got my own studio for the 3D printer, for the other 3D printer, because yeah, we have, like in Keith's office, we have a like extruding 3D printer up there. The resin ones just, like, I think you want to make sure you have better ventilation and all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, it was like, because on one hand he was like, oh, I would totally use this in lab. And it's like, I mean, it's not like that it's that expensive of a thing. It was just an interesting opportunity for a review that would have brought Keith in not a joking kind of way. Yeah, you were talking about the 3D printer, yeah. I mean, having my own studio would involve us, like, moving. Because I don't think I would be able to afford rent
on anything nearby. And one perk of me working out of our home is that like I'm close by for when things come up, and like if a kid is homesick I can still get some work done. But yeah, our, you know, whether we do an addition and then create space during the addition, that is one option. Or another option is that we move somewhere that has space that would work. So I would love, I was dreaming about this today, I would love to have like a sort of desk area next to, well, I guess what I want is I want to, like where I have this set up here, I want a table where I can stream. And so probably some kind of like big metal butcher block kind of table with mounts on the ceiling for the camera so I can do like a real top down, and then a desk so I can have my laptop and sit down when I'm not standing up. But then also potentially a set where like I could have a camera show my face while I'm doing whatever I'm doing over here. That's something that is just super logistically challenging with the way my kitchen is set up. Yeah. So those are my dreams. Oh man. But I don't want to go to the, I'm waiting for the mop to cool. I don't want to go to the dentist today. At least it's going to be a free visit because I got a crown replaced a bit ago and it's still like a little too high, so my bite is still off, so they're just going to like shave it down a little bit. But it took a while to get an appointment to do this, and there was one available, but we were out of town, and so that was all a thing. But I'm excited. And, oh yeah, I was talking about the Patreon. All the ways to support me should be linked in the description, but please give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and subscribe to turn on notifications and all those YouTube things. That's the biggest way you can help support the content here. Shopping, like through like affiliate links and like shopping in my shop and Patreon and all those things are great. But the biggest thing you can do is subscribe and watch the videos. You know, that's the biggest thing. Oh man. I'm hoping the new form works okay. If there are issues with the, okay steamer, you're making some noise. If there are any issues with the Google form when you're trying to submit pictures, please like comment on this video or any other video being like, hey, can you fix the form, or I'm having this issue, and then I should see it. I would say email me, but I am notoriously bad with my email because I'm like up and about all day filming, and so then I miss things or I forget. If I don't write it down, then I will likely forget. Okay. This is our last layer. Oh my goodness. How are we doing water-wise? Now see, when I press down, there's absolutely color there. Ooh, lots of brown. Lots of color, but the layers below are definitely darker than what we have up top, which is so strange. I think part of me would have expected that I would be able to move that die all the way through. Now the only challenge that I'm really having is over here with these zip ties. It's starting to get a little bit cumbersome. And so it's a little bit harder for me to get the color adequately on the yarn. So I would say that is one of the biggest challenges that I'm having
with 8 skeins, but that's definitely less of an issue when I have 6. Because it's just the zip ties don't stack up quite as much. But it's not enough of a problem to make me want to stop using the zip ties. And oh, I showed this earlier, but from adding the lichen and then putting the yarn on, we do get some speckles, which is hilarious to me because it's just surprising, because I wouldn't have expected it to strike as fast as it clearly is. Oh man. Okay, the other dream is if I had a studio, I would have drawers, dedicated drawers for my dyes in the space where I'm working. And then, I mean, I probably wouldn't actually keep them sorted by color. Right now I have them sorted by brand, but maybe I would. Maybe I would sort them by color and then actually be able to put them away back in the bin during the downtime because it's all on one floor. Oh, what else would I love? What other features would I do? I'd want to think. I know many dyers, though, who carry their water to their studio, and I'm very impressed by that. I would find that to be super challenging. Yeah, I'd want water. I'd need decent lighting for the filming, obviously. What else do I want? Space-wise, it doesn't need to be big, because I do most of my filming on like half of my kitchen island. So I don't need like a big table. But it could also be nice to have some like steam tables maybe to play around with that, or a proofing cabinet could be nice for processing more yarn. Although, man, I mean, you see how much time I'm spending on this pan. But see, the thing is, if I had a proofing cabinet, I might do 2 skeins at a time and then just move on and do this in another pan versus stacking. This lasagna technique is one that is useful for me because I'm a small batch dyer working on my stove and I have limited space on my stove. This is not a technique that would work great for dyers who can dye 100 skeins in a day. I think the most I've done is like 30 or 40. And so, yeah, I definitely try to plan my techniques accordingly. I'm trying to just add just a little of the teal. And I know that looks super dark at first. But I'm always so curious about what's happening down below. It's so hard to know, and I can kind of peek in here. The only thing I hope, and if it happens, is that there's not any huge white spots. But I do have one last, I guess, note. This is all dyed at once, right? But there's probably going to be differences between a bunch of the skeins. They could all be identical, but there could also be some fairly big differences. And so within one pan with hand-dyed yarn, you can have different dye lots, and there can be differences. And so that's always important to keep in mind. But part of the beauty of any hand-dyed product are those imperfections, right? Okay, I'm now going to take my mop and I'm just wiping the inside of the pan a little bit. You can do that with this paper towel too. What's funny is I think most of the dye that I'm getting on it is coming from the actual yarn. It's amazing how much of the dye just stays where you put it.
All right. Now we need to start adding acid. And I'm going to want to add a lot. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons on the yarn mop. And then I think I'm going to start with like basically a tablespoon on each color. Now there has been some questions and conversations lately about the concentration of vinegars changing. So this vinegar I'm using from Heinz is 5% acidity. So that means it's 5% acetic acid, 95% water. Yes. But there's a lot of vinegar that has, I guess, changed to be 4% acidity, which means that there's just less acetic acid in there overall. And I'm adding a lot more than what I had originally said, which is totally fine. Now, this is only, I'm now going to try to start working this acid through the yarn, sort of trying to mix it up, mix it in. And so the change in the acidity is very important in the canning world because you need that 5% vinegar for canning like pickles and stuff. When it comes to yarn dyeing, the difference that this is going to make is way more minor. It might shift some techniques and have a new learning curve when it comes to your project. I am going to let that sit now for 10 minutes and I will come sit down. But I'm squeezing out the yarn mop and I didn't see any color come out, which is great. I'm now going to steam set the yarn mop for 30 minutes. But I'm going to take off the gloves and I'll set the timer for 10 minutes. I suppose you don't really need to wait necessarily after adding the acid. The reason why I'm waiting here, and I'm going to set the timer. I set it for 11, that's fine. The reason why I'm waiting is because I need to add more water before I put this on my gas stove with 2 burners to heat up. I want to have a higher water level. But if I add more water right now, some of these colors could spread over all of the yarn, and we don't want that. Where's my favorite spoon? Aha! Yeah, so I want more water before I put it on the stove, but you can see we have a lot of browns. And some of these, whoa, over here, okay, I'm still seeing some blues, but a lot of the teals looks like have struck. There's still some browns in here with our lichen, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, and when we go to add more water, we will add acid in there as well. Just so that way it's going to help spread the acid more towards the bottom. But I'm going to pop in front of the camera and chat about the acid. Nope, I want there. Oh man, I want one of those. Totally aggression. There's like stream decks that you have buttons to swap between different scenes, and so you can program. And so then I could have one, like, you know, that is, so like one of my cameras I've named Star, because it has a star sticker on it. I could have one, you know, just Star. I could have different buttons, so I wouldn't have to like scroll. It would just be easier. Okay. Ooh, soundproofing. Yes. Soundproofing would be great. Okay. For my dream studio. But with the vinegar, like right now, a starting place I use a lot would be 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in 8 cups of water. And this is using 5% acidity vinegar. If I had 4% vinegar, then I would use, for the same acid concentration, 2.5 tablespoons of white vinegar instead of 2. Now, practically, I would probably use 3, but it could give a little bit of a learning curve to you again, because I have a sense like, okay, if I use 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in 8 cups of water, and I'm trying to break Wilton's Violet, that is too much acid. Those blues are going to strike too quick. If I want to slow down the way the blues strike, I need 1 tablespoon to get like optimal breaking on a non-superwash yarn. And so there's little things like that that I know, and that I know work pretty well. And then if the concentration of the acid changed, then it might just take some time to figure out those differences again. So I think that that makes sense. I mean, I hope that that makes sense. Let's see. You would want a cushioned floor because of the standing. Yes! For sure. I'm barefoot today, but normally when I'm inside I wear Crocs all the time. Part of that is because I dealt with, I think, some plantar fasciitis for about a year, which is almost completely, knocking on wood, almost completely better. I'm really, really lucky that I've seen so much improvement, but it also means I'm being bad and being barefoot more. But yeah, it is, I've seen incredible improvements. But yeah, so having some like cushioned floor. See, I wouldn't mind having just like a cement floor as long as I had cushioned mats. And I think the ones that I would probably want, they're those mats that have like the holes in them, so then if there was like a spill, you could like clean it up, or something like that. But yeah, I would want some cushion around for sure. But the other conversation I've had with Keith is like, you know, I want a studio space, but I don't want to store the finished yarn in the same room that as the studio, because the studio is going to be humid. You don't want that. You want to have, you want to be able to have space that is drier for drying the yarn. Oh, I suppose the other dreams I have is I want heat and air conditioning. Those are more wants, but if it's a dream space, then I can have that. Oh, right. That reminds me. Let me download some things. And thank you for telling me the yarn is gorgeous. Did it upload? Yes. Okay. Save. I'm going to pull in an image that I took earlier, because if you're just tuning in, we are actually dyeing 4 grams of Knit Picks Swish DK and 4 grams of Stroll, and in the pan they are side by side. So here I have it zoomed in, and on the left is Stroll. On the right is the Swish DK. Earlier someone asked me how I can tell the difference, and the big difference is the thickness of the yarn, because Stroll has like 460 some yards per 100 grams, and Swish is 240 something, maybe 246 yards per 100 grams. And so you can visually see that the yarn on the right is thicker than the yarn on the left. And so that's the big way I tell the difference. In something like the Spring Mini Skein Mini Series, when I'm dyeing so many different yarn bases, the way I keep track of things is by grouping lots of different yarn bases together and writing it down. So I know, okay, the group with the Donegal has the Superwash MCN, and so I can know that. And so I keep things like, I keep the Superwash MCN separate from like merino nylon. There's certain bases that can look very similar that I just separate and keep different. So, ooh, I don't know what those shoes are. And I don't think I know how to pronounce that either. But I'm going to go look at that right now. Oh, Hoka one? Oh, Hoka's a brand. Oh, cool. See, my issue is I hate wearing sneakers. I hate wearing sneakers and I don't like wearing socks. And so I prefer to, if I could be barefoot all day, every day, I would. And so that's hard when I have to wear shoes. Jacqueline, your boyfriend says we'll look for a barn with a loft at our next place. We'll convert it into 2 workshops. Half of it be my dye studio. Oh, that sounds amazing. That sounds beautiful. And yes, one way would be to use different colored ties on the yarn. And so sometimes I will do that as well. I'll use zip ties that have less pigment on it for one yarn base and zip ties with more pigment on it for another. Other times, like when I do the mystery surprise dye-alongs, because sometimes people will pick a surprise me yarn base and I try to pull a lot of yarn bases in, I will label the zip ties like A, B, C, D and have notes of this letter is this yarn base. And so that's a way that I can label and keep track when I'm dyeing a lot of random different things all at once. You're a barefoot person too? Yeah. Hello, hello. But yeah, cushioned floor. And, oh, and I'd in that room make a backdrop. Some kind of interesting backdrop for when I stand and talk. Because I have a decent backdrop up in my studio, except the light up there is awful. The lighting in there is really, really, really bad. And so that's a little bit of a struggle. But the other issue is that the room is full of boxes, so it's hard setting up the tripod. But yeah, and so if I'm in the groove filming, and often I'll be doing like 2 or 3 different videos at once, maybe on different sides of the stove, going back and forth. And so if I want to pop up in front of the camera and say something, I just do it with this wall behind me that has like a photo mosaic that we made around our wedding. So it's got lots of like itty bitty tiny pictures of people that were important to us and selfies that we took before the word selfie was a thing. We like took pictures like that everywhere we went and just had like a collection, and so we used a bunch of those in that, which we thought about put displaying at our wedding and then didn't. And yeah, and so I don't know what I would have to be like of interest on a wall behind me, especially if I'm standing right in front of that wall, but I would like some kind of interesting something. Or maybe I would have like, again, if I have a desk for streaming, maybe it would be that same backdrop, and I'd have an interesting backdrop that would work for streaming when I'm sitting in a chair or giving a talking head like now. And then it would be less of a big deal for me to move the camera from one part of the room to the other than it would be to move everything upstairs and then back down. Because my like studio upstairs is basically a hallway. It is a room, but one wall of it is all closets, which is, on one hand, is great, but on the other hand, it means that you can't have any furniture on that wall. And so I have like a sewing table, and then I have like a bunch of cube storage on the other walls. And so, yeah, it's a great space, but it is also a hallway. Like the door in is a path that you have to walk to go up to our finished attic, to go up to those stairs. And so, yeah, that causes issues. So I can't block that. Yeah, so those are all different things and ways that I dream. Ooh, okay, I'm still seeing a little bit of blues there. We definitely still have some browns. That is looking, things are looking great. Okay, I want to add some more acid specifically on the brown, and specifically here at the very end. And see, with the end, I can scooch things down and kind of like help move that. Because the thing with a pan this crowded is things can't diffuse very far. And so, but if I press, like this water is all sort of mixed. And so, yeah, I think that that kind of works. All right, let's see. There's almost no color on my gloves. All right, I've got a thing of water here. It's about 4 cups of water, 2 and a bit tablespoons of white vinegar that I can't really stir very well. There we go. And I'm gonna pour over here. And over there. And in the middle, because I want things to feel less compressed. Because if the yarn is super compressed, then there's probably not enough water for when I heat it. I don't want to like burn anything. So I want to feel like we have a good amount of water in here before we move it to the stove. I'm bringing over a little more water because as I reach down and sort of plump things up, there we go. Now I feel like I haven't just expanded up. I feel like I've actually made a little bit of a difference. Now I'm going to transfer this over to the stove to start heating things up, but I am going to cover this with foil because I don't have a dedicated cover for it. I do not have a dedicated cover, but I want to trap the steam in to help heat this up. Oh, it's heavy. I do have some drawers for dyeing in here, but most stuff I store upstairs. Okay, one thing I learned from a comment is that foil has a shiny side and a less shiny side. No way. And they recommended in the comments that I put the shiny side down to reflect the heat better, which I don't think honestly makes that big of a difference when you're covering something and it's more of a physical barrier. The reason why I'm using foil is just because it can like handle the heat. This is not down super well, but that's okay. All right, reducing the heat to medium. Setting a timer for 20 minutes to finish that yarn mop, and I will peek in on our yarn in a little bit. I'll sort of check in on it. But fingers crossed, please. I have never scorched yarn. And I would really hate for this to be the first time I do that. That would not be great. That would feel really, really sad. Ooh, Pokemon Family Tree posters. What? Ooh, Pokemon Family Tree posters for the backdrop. Ooh. I've definitely looked on Etsy and stuff and thought about getting a family portrait done where like you're all Pokemon trainers and you have your favorite Pokemon around you. And it would be really easy, I think, for me to do that with the kids. But I was struggling to pick like my favorite Pokemon. Because like for Keith, we'd have a Alolan Executor. For me, probably Eevee, I think is what I realized while doing the like Spring Mini Screen miniseries. Lucas, Zigzagoon, or sometimes Furret. Those are two that like he has as like favorites. For writer, probably Grookey or Sprigatito. Or, yeah, so if like some people would have two, I mean, I don't know what Keith's second would be and like what would my second be. I don't know. So, yeah, it's like would we each just have one or what? And so there's a lot of artists that will do that. And I just want to be sure of the Pokemon I want for me, mostly, before commissioning it because it's expensive. And like the artists deserve the money. Like it's not trying to discount that. I'm more than happy to pay the artists what they're worth. It's just I want to make sure that I know what I want before I commission the art, you know? Thank you. I'm really, really proud of how it's turned out because I'll be honest, I did not know what direction I was going to go even this morning with it. And so, yeah, I'm very, very pleased. No, I want to, there we go. I'm very pleased with, no, I have to sit over here, with how the colors came together. And so I want to thank you all so much for joining me today for a shorter ChemKnits Dialogue live stream, only 2.5 hours today. But you got to see me do some lasagna dyeing real time and understand maybe why sometimes I speed things up. Now, did it take me 2 hours to dye this yarn? No. Did I spend a lot of time sitting down chatting? Yes. If I was filming like a pre-filmed video, I probably wouldn't have spent as much time like taking breaks in between layers, but yeah. Streaming is harder in some ways. It's easier in some ways because I know I don't have to edit at the end, but in other ways, like it's a different kind of focus. And so, yeah, thank you all for joining today. I've had a lot of fun. Yeah, and if you want to dye along with me and dye your own yarn inspired by this inspiration photo, please share the pictures with me on Facebook. I have it linked in the description. The inspiration photo post, you can reply with a photo comment there. Or if you post on Instagram, it's now a little bit more complicated to share with me. You can share your pictures on Instagram. Please use the ChemKnits Dialogue hashtag. But then we have a Google form, so you can share your Instagram link with me. Because, let's see, where is this? There we go. Because now if I search for the hashtag, it only shows the top 9. And like this was from last year. I think some of these were from Watermelon, and that was over a year ago. This was from like a graffiti that happened a very long time ago. And so that might be Hocus Pocus. I don't know. And so I can't just see, you used to get the top 9 and then you could keep scrolling and see the recent ones. And I can't anymore. So I made a web form that I have linked in the description. So if you post on Instagram, you can just, enter your name and then you can put the Instagram link and then you can just post the link in here and send that to me. And so I have made that. But you can also upload pictures directly through this form. And yeah, you can do that. And so that is a great way to submit your colorways, because then I'll try to include as many as I can in the recap, because I think that it is really, really cool to see how different people might look at an image and create colorways that are either nearly identical or quite different. Because there is a lot of variety in what people will see and choose. And someone could look at this picture and, oh, you can't see my mouse, and just be inspired by the roots and that mud on the wall there and focus on that section. Or someone might be focused mostly on the water with that rock. People might pick the whole photo or an aspect of it and focus on that. And that's all great. It's super great. But anyway, subscribe, turn on notifications. Other places you can find me on social media are down in the description. And most of all, thank you so much for watching today. I did mention earlier that I am hoping to have one of the big silly streams maybe next week. You'll know what's happening if I have a shop update with a pre-order listing. What? That's how you'll know. You'll know then that it's going to happen. But yeah, there are in the past I've done some kind of random color picker and then a wheel to pick a technique, and so it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, I think that I might shift some of the rules from what we've done in the past, but I'm very, very, very excited, and so I hope you are too. And yeah, I will chat with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, and yeah, I guess I will. Oh, you'll see me tomorrow with Dot Weekly, and it's a super fun one. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Bye!